Today I'm going to teach you how to install, use, and troubleshoot the B-roll selector plugin for Premiere Pro. Let's get straight into it. If you're watching this video, thanks so much for downloading the B-roll selector plugin. Timestamps are linked right here so you can skip to whatever part you need. First up is installation. So once you download the plugin, you'll get a DMG file. I'm on Mac right now. Windows is basically the same thing. It's just a .exe file. You double click it, you go through the installation process. For Mac though, you just double click this package file and then it'll bring up an installation page. You just basically go through this entire process, make sure you have enough space. You're gonna enter your password and then go through this process. I already installed this, so I'm not gonna do it again. Once you go through the installation process, just make sure you go ahead and quit your Premiere Pro and then go ahead and reopen Premiere Pro. Just give it a nice restart. You don't have to, but it's also even good practice to restart your entire computer. Now we're gonna go into Premiere Pro. We're gonna make a new project. And now to open the plugin, you hit Window, you hit Extensions, and you click on the B-roll selector icon. It's gonna open up. It's going to ask you for a license key. So go ahead and enter the license key that was sent to your email. Some Macs have been known to have issues with copying and pasting it. So if you are, just go ahead and type it in. It's really not that long. And if you're still having issues with invalid keys, make sure to send us an email right here. We'll reply as fast as we can. Okay, so now that we're on the first page of the plugin, this works best for starting on blank project files and particularly handheld footage. So this is good for any video genre, whether you're doing wedding videos, music videos, event recaps, concerts, whatever you name it. It's gonna cut out the shaky footage. It's not good for tripod shots or audio transcriptions. Now keep in mind, when we say selecting the highlights, it's not gonna be able to transcribe and listen to the audio of your video. It'll only detect the highlights based on the shakiness of the camera. I'm gonna click import and it's gonna open a Finder window. Do not drag and drop your files. They'll kind of break things and you'll have to reset the plugin. And now I'm going to select some test sample footage. Now keep in mind for your first test, I recommend keeping it low just so you can see if it's working. The more clips you upload and the higher res they are, of course, the longer it'll take, but usually it shouldn't take too long. I'm going to hit open and now it's going to take you to page 2. So there's 2 sliders here. What's going on? What are these sliders? What do they do? So if you have any questions, you can just hover over these question marks, but I'll explain them. So the first top slider affects how much shake is being cut from your B-roll. So if you set it to low, it's going to keep majority of the handheld shake. You'll get the shakiest results because sometimes the camera shake is intentional. Sometimes you want some camera shake in your footage. You don't want it too smooth. And now on the flip side, if you set it to high, you're going to get the smoothest shots. So if you have a bunch of shaky footage and then some shots that are just ultra still or on a gimbal, it's going to select only those gimbal and tripod-like shots compared to anything else with camera shake. Now the second slider is called trimming the shaky edges. Now in your first run, I recommend keeping this at none. You might not need to use this until later, but this is basically because most of the camera shakes in footage are usually on the beginnings and ends, right? You know, the videographer is putting the camera into position, they're getting it all shaky, and then it's still for the main middle section. And then at the end, they're trying to turn off the camera, so it's a little bit shaky towards the end. So that's where the trim shaky edges comes in. If you set it all the way to the left, it'll cut 1.5 seconds off your beginnings and ends of your selects. So that way you'll guarantee have like the most smooth shots. And then on the flip side, let's say you want to be extra safe and you want to make sure that you select as many clips as possible, then you can set this to plus 1.5 and it'll add an extra 1.5 seconds to the beginnings and ends of your selects. Now, of course, setting the slider to anything positive might cause some duplicate and overlapping clips, so just make sure to keep that in mind. And then I'm going to hit select B-roll. Now it's going to load. If you uploaded a lot of clips, like anything over 50 to 100, just be patient with it, give it some time. It should give you an ETA and the loading bar should start moving. But let's say if it's been like 10-15 minutes in and you still don't see an ETA, probably means it's frozen and stuck. So I recommend 2 options. First, just go ahead and restart your Premiere Pro. Step 1, just do a simple Premiere Pro reset. Sometimes just quitting Premiere Pro may help. And step 2 is simply deleting the plugin off your computer and doing a reinstall. This one has actually worked for me before. One time I got stuck on the loading page, so I went to this file location, and if you're on Windows, go to this file location and literally just delete these folders. Once you delete these folders, just go ahead and reinstall the plugin one more time and it should work after that. One extra step you have to do for Mac is also make sure you delete this folder, which is called Mac as well, by opening Finder, going to the top left corner, hitting go, and then click go to folder. And then you can go ahead and type in this file location, and then you're gonna find this folder right here, which is titled Mac, and then just go back to your documents and make sure you go ahead and delete this file. Once you delete that file, then you can go ahead and reinstall the AutoEdit process and it should work as usual. Oh, and boom, just like that, it has automatically imported our clips into our timeline and we have 2 sequences. Okay, so now that it's done loading, you can see we have 2 sequences. We have one called shaky and we have one called selects. I'm gonna put this on mute. So another important thing to note with this plugin is that it may take some time to load. So what I recommend doing is using this time to, focus on another task. That's why we built this plugin, because you can spend this time color grading, making an effect, and instead of just having to trim the B-roll plugin. So if it is taking a while, just go ahead and do another task of your edit and let it run in the background, and that way it'll create your selects for you while you do something else or even while you sleep. Now that it's done loading, you can see we have 2 sequences right here, one called called shaky parts and one called selects. What we're going to look at are the selects. These are labeled in green, and these basically consist of all the shots that are good. Play this out. You can see all our clips over here are relatively smooth. We have a concert and it managed to cut out all the shaky parts. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this plugin isn't going to be perfect. When it comes to ultra black, darker clips, it's kind of hard for it to tell because obviously there's like really no pixel data to deal with. So just keep in mind there will still be some misselects, but nonetheless, for me, it still saves me time because at least all these clips are already cut out and basically labeled, and I can just delete them as is. And then I have the good takes over here. So just keep that in mind. And of course, the more light that you have in your footage, this is a concert right here, and there's obviously not that much light. And also keep in mind, the more light that you have in your shots, the better the plugin will perform. So darker clips, they can still work. I'm doing it on a concert right here, and you can see we're getting pretty good results. But if you have really, really dark clips, it might be harder for the plugin to detect what's shaky and what's not. And then once you're done, it'll just take you back to this main page, and you can basically just go ahead and restart this process. And then once you're done, it'll take you back to this main page, and you can go ahead and select some more B-roll clips. That's pretty much how B-roll Selector works. Of course, if you have any questions or if the plugin is still not working for you, just reach out to us here at this email or join our Discord right here. We'll reply as fast as we possibly can. Other than that, thanks guys for downloading the plugin, and happy editing.